Hi, I would like to take the time to inform you about how lifestyle changes can affect your risk of developing heart disease. Go ahead and raise your hand if you would like to become a statistic. I'll wait. No takers? Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but unfortunately, half of you in this room will eventually develop heart disease. According to the American Heart Association, about 48% of all Americans will develop heart disease within their lifetime. And there's nothing you can do about it. Or is there? Today we'll be talking about how lifestyle choices can affect your risk of developing heart disease. The first factor in determining your heart health is your diet. Today we are going to discuss the effects of a plant-based diet on your heart health. The first study I would like to mention is the China study. This is the most comprehensive study of nutrition ever conducted, specifically about a plant-based diet and how it affects your health, more importantly, how it affects your heart health. This was a study that was conducted by China Cornell Oxford Project and was published by the American Journal of Cardiology. This study took a look at the differences between the rural Eastern plant-based diet and the Western standard American meat-based diet. According to the research, the standard American diet had about 50% higher levels of cholesterol than the rural Eastern plant-based diet did. Furthermore, American men and women showed an increase about 11% risk of developing heart disease than anyone else. As you can see, this study shows a lot of compelling evidence for promotion of a plant-based diet to protect your heart, to protect your heart and your health. If that's not enough compelling evidence, there's more. I would like to talk to you about the Dean Ornish diet. The Dean Ornish diet is also more of a plant-based diet. This was actually developed by an American physician named Dean Ornish that is geared towards preventing and reversing heart disease. This is a diet that is more focused on whole fruits and vegetables, and also cuts out all meats, all egg yolks. It reduces dairy and also reduces refined carbohydrates and sugars. There's a study that was done in 1998 by the American Heart Association based on the Dean Ornish diet that took participants and it had them on this diet for about a year. Over the course of the year, the average people lost about 24 pounds. 5 years later, they went and met up with the same group of people and discovered that they kept an average of 13 pounds off. There's another study that was done in 2010 by the Journal of Health Promotion where 13,000 people lost an average of 8% of their body weight just being on the Dean Ornish diet. 1 year later, it was shown that 80% of these participants actually continued up with their diet and continued to lose further weight. The next aspect that I would like to talk to you about with decreasing your risk for heart disease is exercise. Your heart is a muscle just like anything else. And what do you do to build your muscles? You go and you exercise them, specifically with progressive overload. Your heart is no different. According to the American Heart Association, 30 minutes a day of activity is a sweet spot to prevent and maximize your heart health. Why is exercise important, you may ask? It's important because exercising your heart lowers your blood pressure, which it reduces your risk for heart disease. It also lowers your resting heart rate, and it also makes your heart stronger, therefore making the workload on your heart less significant than if you would not exercise. The third thing I would like to talk to you about is about substance abuse. The two main substances throughout America that are abused on a daily basis are nicotine and caffeine. Smoking increases your risk for heart disease because it puts you at a higher risk of developing high blood pressure. 1/4 of all preventable cardiac-related deaths is actually related to smoking. The next thing would be caffeine. Caffeine, even from sources such as coffee and energy drinks, can do harm to your body. Caffeine is a stimulant, so it puts more work on your heart and makes it have to work harder than it actually would need to, therefore increasing your risk of heart disease, even heart disease such as sudden cardiac death. I would like to take some time to share my personal experience with a whole food plant-based diet with you. About 2 years ago, I was not living very healthily, I wasn't eating right, and I wasn't really exercising. And I decided that I wanted to make a change for the better. I work in a hospital, so I see how heart disease affects people on a daily basis, and it is something that is very familiar. I decided I didn't want to end up dying like that, so I looked into the best type of diet that would protect my heart. And I eventually found a whole foods plant-based diet was one that reduced your risk for heart disease significantly. So I decided at the beginning of the year I was going to go do my blood work, and I was going to do my blood work at the end of the year. During that year, I followed a whole foods plant-based diet. I worked out 3 times a week. I reduced my alcohol limit, and I never smoked. By the end of that year, I found that my cholesterol levels dropped by a whopping 20 points, and I also lost an average of about 15 to 16 pounds, which was pretty significant. I was rather impressed with the results that I got over that year. After hearing what I have to say, I'm going to ask again, who wants to be a statistic? Still nobody. Good news is you don't have to be. Just by taking simple changes, as in with your diet, with some exercise, and reducing your bad habits, you can decrease your risk of having heart disease. If anything, do it for your family, or do it for your friends, but most importantly, do it for yourself. Just like Jim Rohn once said, take care of your body, it's the only place you have to live.